Today, optimization is a real issue. Nvidia just lost against gamers. Big update, and AMD is releasing everything. Welcome everyone to Gamer Melt. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, we have proof that game developers are getting lazy, or at least games aren't being optimized as well as they once were. So no, you're not crazy. Over the last few years, it's become pretty clear that games have gotten far more demanding. Of course, developers have always wanted to take advantage of the newest hardware out there to get better visuals, but the pace of game requirements have accelerated lately. And today, I have a story that proves it isn't just a shift to ray tracing or path tracing or graphical ambitions outpacing hardware scaling. No, there are serious optimization issues, whether it's companies using upscaling and frame gen as a crutch or they just don't care. And really, it's irrelevant because the end result is the same, a game that doesn't run as well as it could. And a perfect example to that is Borderlands 4. If you paid attention to its launch, you know that Borderlands 4 was a terribly demanding game, especially given the fact that it barely looks any better than the much older Borderlands 3. It's almost like they slapped ray tracing on and called it a day. But even with ray tracing, it shouldn't be this bad. I mean, the $2,000 5090 can't even get 60 FPS at 4K without upscaling. Well, the game just got a new patch that gives it a huge boost in FPS. I'm talking up to 20% more FPS from the launch version to this new patch, meaning this is purely from optimizations. And here's the thing, I'm not going to praise Gearbox for giving us this patch, because this is how the game should have been on day one. I don't know if game developers are just trying to use news cycles or what, like launch a game in a terrible state knowing that your diehard fans will buy anyway, then make it better later on so you can entice new players, or if they really are just incompetent. I don't care. This crap has to stop. And I'm not saying that a game can't be demanding or anything like that. I'm happy when developers push the boundaries of graphics, even if that means lower-end cards don't work as well. We can't have that all the time, of course, but a game like Crysis is welcome sometimes. But releasing a game that simply isn't optimized has to stop. But first, hit that subscribe button. Think of it like free optimization, no RTX 5090 required, and you still get way more performance. And if you hit that bell icon, you'll actually get a 20% FPS increase in your favorite game. Trust me. And next up for today, Nvidia's finally been pushed back. Gamers have won, proving that consumers can win anything if they put their wallet to it. Because according to a new report that originally comes from the Board Channels forum, which is of course where many board partners go to discuss supply chains and things like that, and as you can see, it says, multiple sources have confirmed that Nvidia has implemented a precise supply control strategy for its newly released GeForce RTX 5060 Ti series graphics cards, specifically differentiating the market release of the 8GB and 16GB versions. This move, rather than simply a production shortage, is a clear market-driven selective supply initiative, sparking widespread attention and discussion among channel partners, AIC partners, and end consumers. First, the core of the supply strategy, 16GB over 8GB. Due to market strategic considerations, the 16GB version of the RTX 5060 Ti has been selling more strongly. Due to recent poor sales of the 8GB series, appropriate supply control has been implemented, with distributors being asked to pay attention to the releases of the 8GB model. Basically, according to this, Nvidia themselves are telling partners to prioritize the 16GB 5060 Ti over the 8GB model. Specifically because gamers aren't buying it, and they're actually focusing more on the production of the 16GB version over the 8GB model as well. They go on to state that Nvidia has recently implemented supply controls requiring AIC brands to limit overstocking and manage supply and demand based on actual market sales. Now, the annoying part is that they're implementing price controls on the 5060 Ti 8GB series, prohibiting underpricing. But obviously, if gamers refuse to buy them, they'll either be forced to discount the models or risk oversupply. And next up, I have a really quick update on a recent story I covered where a user had a Cooler Master PSU that came with 90-degree 16-pin connectors, but the connector wouldn't fit inside their GPU. So Cooler Master had the brilliant idea to remove the housing and force it to bend straight. But as Igor's lab demonstrated, this would likely end exactly how you might think, with a fried GPU, PSU, or both. Well, Cooler Master has responded to that initial write-up, and credit where credit is due. It says that the manufacturer announced that this angled version has now been completely discontinued. Future power supply units will only be supplied with a straight 12V 2x6 connector. Cooler Master also emphasized that the previous support recommendation that users could adapt or modify the plug themselves no longer applies. All regional support teams have been instructed to discontinue the practice immediately. He also goes on to state that the email also states that there's been no reports of damage caused by user modifications to date, but it is agreed that such a procedure is not safe. So ultimately, they didn't completely apologize, saying that this was really dumb of us or anything like that, obviously for liability reasons, but they are putting a stop to it, they're ending it, and they are at least agreeing that it is not safe. So this really is great news, and it really shows the importance of calling companies out like this. And lastly for today, AMD is launching everything. I'm talking their fastest gaming CPUs ever, some secret releases, next-gen desktop APUs, and even more gaming chips. AMD isn't slowing down anytime soon. Starting things off, we have probably the least interesting releases, with some refreshes or rebadges, whatever you want to call it. But as you likely know, Intel recently launched their Core 5 120 and 120F processors, which are essentially just rebadged i5 12400 and 12400F. Well, now AMD is getting a part of the action with their Ryzen 10 and Ryzen 100 series processors. And according to the product pages for these, AMD shows the launch date of October 1st. Obviously, it was a quiet launch, which is why you're just now hearing about them. Either way, starting with Ryzen 10, you can see we have the Ryzen 540, Ryzen 330, Athlon Gold 20, and Athlon Silver 10. And these are all Zen 2 based mobile chips from 2 cores and 2 threads to 4 cores and 8 threads. And they're comparable to, well, these chips right down here. The specs do seem to be pretty much identical. The product pages are already on AMD's site, so this information is official. Moving down to the Ryzen 100 series, we have the Ryzen 7 170, Ryzen 7 160, Ryzen 5 150, Ryzen 5 130, and Ryzen 3 110. And as you can see, these are all based on Zen 3 Plus, and they range from 4 cores and 8 threads to 8 cores and 16 threads, and these are essentially the same as these previous chips right here. So like I said, not all that interesting, but things do begin to ramp up when we get to the next set of releases. A couple videos ago, I covered a leak claiming that AMD was gearing up to release their fastest gaming CPUs ever, and that looks to actually be the case, as WCCF Tech claims that their sources have informed them that AMD will release 2 new Ryzen 9000 X3D chips in just a few months. Specifically, we're talking at CES of next year, which is of course in early January. Remember that we're talking about an X3D chip that has 3D V-cache on both chiplets, called the 9950 X3D2, and a faster 9800 X3D called the 9850 X3D. Not only that, but according to this, AMD's launching their next-gen Ryzen 9000G APUs at CES as well. Those I also recently discussed, and they're set to come with up to 12 CPU cores and 16 CUs for the integrated GPU. So multiple releases are coming early next year, but the launches don't stop there, as AMD's also set to release a couple other new gaming CPUs. As you can see right down here, according to video cards, they have semi-officially confirmed a Ryzen 5 9600 X3D. The SKU appeared in AMD's drivers section, which effectively confirms its existence, but it doesn't stop there, as according to Momomo_US, well, data shared by Momomo_US, AMD will also introduce a Ryzen 5 7500 X3D, an entry-level Raphael-based CPU. CPU. This was originally spotted on a listing from a UK retailer, and as you can see right down here, both of these are 6-core CPUs, and both of them come with total cache of 102 megabytes. Now, obviously, given the fact that we're looking at a 7500X3D, we're looking at 6 Zen 4 cores, and then the 9600X3D, we're looking at 6 Zen 5 cores. Unfortunately, we don't really know much about max clocks, but obviously the 9600X3D should have significantly higher. At the end of the day, it looks like AMD is gearing up to release multiple new processors. Here's to hoping the price is right. So while that does it for today, which AMD chip are you most excited for? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And as always, have a great day.